So a few weeks ago, I watched my friend finish the last 5 hours of Death Stranding. I tuned in here and there when he was playing the game, like in the Discord call, he'd be live streaming it, and I'd tune in and watch him for a few minutes and then pop out. Um, but I decided, you know what, this was the end of the game. I'm gonna stick with it through you, with you. See, the brain damage is still prevalent. Those last 5 hours left the two of us just, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It was just an experience. And the first thing I did as soon as we both got off for the night was I hopped on Audacity and I just ranted for like 15 minutes. That's what this video is. These are the unedited rantings of a mad red after having the demons trapped in his brain from witnessing the ending of Death Stranding. Um, yeah, that's all I got. Enjoy. Uh, it is past 4 o'clock in the morning for me, and I just spent the last 5 hours watching my friend. I just watched my friend beat Death Stranding. And I felt like while the worms are still rotting my brain away, I should try to put into words how I feel about watching this conclusion of this game. Because I don't think in the morning I'm going to be able to do justice to how I feel right now. I've never played Death Stranding. I kind of want to try it now just because of how fucking insane this thing is. I've tuned in a few different times to my friend playing this game, Tarchanka. Where do I begin? I noped out of this fucking game. I was trying to get him to play ARAM with me, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll just finish this cutscene." And he was meeting with some dude named Hartman. And the guy dies like every 21 minutes and then is just dead for 3 minutes. And he goes to like this other realm between the afterlife called the beach. And the game asks you to sit on a fucking couch for 3 minutes and just wait for the guy to come back to life. And I said, no, you're coming and playing fucking ARAM with me now. I am not waiting for this shit. Like, I thought that was crazy. Okay, I thought that was like some of the fucking crazy shit. Tonight blew that moment out of the water. See, I joined in when my friend was just he was just at the end of the game. He was just finishing up. I tried reading the Wikipedia article like 3 times to understand what the fuck is happening, and I got a very bare bones idea. I had like knowledge of events that were going to happen, but no understanding as to what those events meant or were or why they were important. It all just sounded like a coagulated mess to me. So I join in when there's this dude with a mask taunting Norman Reedus, and there's a giant black ooze monster in the city. And so I'm like, oh, this looks like a final boss fight. And my friend thought the same thing. That was 5 hours ago. I don't. That feels like it happened yesterday. And technically it did. But it feels like that fight was ages ago. I cannot put into words just how mind-boggling this game is and how long it went on. So he shot rockets and shotgun at the giant ooze giant, and it died, which is great. That it was like, okay, that's the final boss. But then it was like, oh no, Higgs is taking the girl to the beach, so now you got to go there and fight him. And it's like, no, 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 you got to do it mano y mano style. Oh, and first you have to run across the country, so he had to do that first. Then he had to go into the beach and fight Higgs. And this is where shit really started hitting the fan. This is where the worms woke up in my brain and they began to crawl around. And this is where I began to question Hideo Kojima's legal amount of sanity. Because the entire boss fight in the beach was you picking up Amazon Prime packages and throwing them at this man, and then beating the shit out of him with your fists. I'm not joking. I would watch my friend pick up a PlayStation and just throw it. Just throw it, and it would stun the guy, and then he beat the shit out of him with his fist. And then eventually, he beat him enough. Then it turned into a side-scrolling fighting game like Street Fighter, except it was really zoomed in on the two boys. And I asked my friend, has the game done this before? And he's like, no. So it just turned from throwing Amazon packages at the bad guy into a literal side-scrolling fighter game. I don't know. And then he was like, this is just Kojima. He's just doing MGS4 again. I'm like, I haven't played that game, but I'm willing to believe you because Hideo Kojima is a crazy man. This entire night has been like as if I was stuck in a car and my friend was at the wheel of the car. But the car's not moving because the car is on a transport truck being driven by Kojima off of a fucking bridge. That's what this game feels like. That's what this feels like to me at this point. So he beat the shit out of the man in the fighting minigame. And then some weird plot things happen. There's some dudes that come out of the water that are soldiers and they're on fire. And that's a really cool design. I like that a lot. But I didn't understand it. And so more shit kept happening, and then I had to watch my friend deliver cryptocurrency worms to eat. He had to do an Uber Eats delivery to this lady who could teleport him into the breach. So he had to run across the country again, and along the way he got into another boss fight. And this one was a giant whale that opened its mouth up like one of the things from Stranger Things. I haven't watched the show, but I've seen what they look like with their mouth open up like that. Yeah, it was a whale with one of those kind of mouths. And he just had to fight it. But the weird thing is, it wasn't even like actively hostile to him. He just whacked it with missiles and shot it with a gun and shot it with a grenade launcher. And the thing just kept flying past him. It didn't do anything. It knocked down like one building, and that's like the one thing it did the entire time. Otherwise, it was just there to be beaten down. And I don't understand why. So then, eventually they feed her nubbins, and she gets up. She only has like one of the 30 that he had to pack. But that's okay. That's enough. And she sends him to the beach. And we get a reenactment of End of Evangelion. And we get a bunch of exposition about how this woman is an extinction entity, and she, like, her whole existence is to extinct creatures on Earth. But she kind of said, like, no, and changed some things and made it more difficult for herself in the process. And, like, she basically left it to Norman Reedus, Daryl, to fucking decide if the extinction event should happen or not. And so my friend shot the shit out of her with a pistol that she gave him, and that didn't do anything. So he hugged her, and then they talked for a bit. And then all of a sudden, Norman Reedus is on a different beach. Not one with a flaming sun, red blood water, and a bunch of whales and fish on the shore. This one just looks like a normal gray sky beach. And I guess it's his beach, Norman Reedus' beach. And then the credits started playing. I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird. There's still more stuff that hasn't been revealed. Because again, I read the plot synopsis and I remember the points. I just don't know why they're important. Okay, I don't have context because I'm just joining in for this 5-hour train of crazy. So we get to this beach and the credits start playing over the screen. And what the game is expecting him to do is just run up and down the beach. And eventually Norman Reedus just gets tired, sits down, and has the girl explain shit to him. They're just explaining things about how she was his mother, but she was also her own daughter at the same time. I'm not kidding. That's a real thing that happens. She somehow split into two entities and then pretended that she was her own mother. It's Death Stranding, baby, by Hideo Kojima. And then he kept running around, and he kept running around, and it wouldn't stop. And then I almost fucking lost it. Because what I thought was going to be the last thing we saw, I almost fucking screamed. It was like 2 a.m. and I almost screamed my fucking vocal cords out and I wouldn't be able to record this audio. Norman Reedus raises the gun to his head, closes his eyes just before he pulls through, and it does Death Stranding. I was like, no, Kojima, you are not getting away with this. He can't keep getting away with this. You are not going to end your fucking crazy ass fever dream of a game on Norman Reedus holding a gun to his head and not explaining anything that happens. You are not getting away with this shit. No, I refuse. I can't get it across. Like, the two of us were losing it for like the 2 seconds that all we saw was the Death Stranding screen. I was like, no, that can't be the fucking ending. Please, Kojima, don't do this to us. You've already melted our brains enough this evening. Please. And then there's a button action, and then you cut back to Norman Reedus not being able to blow his brains out because we forgot that there was no ammo left in the gun. And then the gun was just used as like a signal for the others to pull us out of the breach. The beach. I don't care anymore. The girl made a pun about how Norman Reedus was Mario and she's Princess Peach. Like, that's supposed to be a meme. I hate it. I'm a fellow gamer too, Kojima. I get it. I get it. I play video game too. So he goes back to the real world, and Die Hard Man, yes, that's a character name, if you weren't aware, is inaugurated as the president. Well, he's not inaugurated yet. He's chosen to be the president. And then he kind of apologizes to Sam, and there's like some other shit being tied up, including like a long explanation about how they saved Sam and had to do with turning an umbilical cord into a piece of jewelry. I'm not making this shit up. I might sound delirious, but I remember it all in my head. Even if the little worms that ate half my brain are just singing Kojima, 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 Kojima. Even though that's all I hear in my head now, I remember all of this. So you have a conversation about that, and you find more about the soldier man named Clifford. And earlier you had to get in a gunfight with him, and you tried to give him your baby that's in the tube that you carry around with you on your dangerous Amazon Prime delivery job. And he gives it back to you and hugs you. It's weird. And then you hook up, and you find out that the baby died while you were on the beach because it's connected to like the afterlife or something, because it's not fully born yet. But since you cut off the beach because you stopped Amelie from committing the last stranding, the baby died. Lou dies, and so you have to go and incinerate it because that's what happens. If you don't incinerate dead bodies in the Death Stranding world, they turn into nukes. That's another plot point. So you got to deliver the baby body to the incinerator, and there's like this really dramatic music, and the FOV zooms out while you're a delivery man running through a mountain range to incinerate an embryo. And then you hook up to the dead embryo, and 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 you start reliving all these memories that you thought were from the baby's perspective throughout the game. And this was the thing. I was sitting here. I was like, "Hey, there's one more plot twist." I saw my friend. There's one more plot twist that Kojima still hasn't fucking got to. And it's been 2 hours since we saw the credits. It's been 2 fucking hours. Why hasn't he got to the twist yet? I'm gonna fucking lose it. Okay. And eventually, we finally get to the plot twist. After another fucking hour and a half, it's revealed that Norman Reedus is the baby that Mads Mikkelsen is after, not the baby in the tube. Norman Reedus is Mads Mikkelsen's son, and he died. And the extinction lady who was pretending to be the mom is the one who gave the order for your dad to be shot and killed, and then took you under her wing to be raised. I don't understand this game. The first credits at this point have happened hours ago, and I thought the game was going to be over, and it just keeps going. It just doesn't fucking end. So you see the memories, and you figure out, oh yeah, they're not Lou's, they're mine. I'm just experiencing them through Lou, and then you bring Lou back to life. You bring him back to life, and it's nice, and you save him, and then the real credits begin. And this is where we were like, oh my god, the game's finally over. What did you think of this game? We were going to have to digest it more because this was a fucking fever dream. And there's a post-credits cutscene. And we're like, oh, okay, it's actually Louise. It's a girl. Okay, cool. And then it does chapter 15. And I'm like, no, Kojima, you can't keep getting away with this. The worms are singing your name in my brain. Make them stop. Thankfully, chapter 15 was an actual chapter. It was just the way of the game saying, congratulations, you're in post-game. Do whatever the fuck you feel like now. I don't know what my opinion of Death Stranding is, based on just experiencing and watching the last 5 hours. But if I can't even understand how I just spent 17 minutes talking about this. I can't understand how I just spent 15 minutes talking about this goddamn game and ranting. But this is what it did to my brain. And I thought I was going to get sleep tonight, but I guess that's not happening. So yeah, that's all I got at this point. Death Stranding.